Hey, what's going on? Retire on dividends here. Making a different type of video because I want to cover this fund, or what we're going to call it, stock, STRC. It's one of the preferreds that MicroStrategy, also known now as Strategy, has offered to the public, and it pays a pretty good yield. And I've been pretty lazy in even bothering to look at any of these offerings that they have. So I decided to dig into the one that kind of caught my eye, being STRC. As you can see, I have the website over to the right. So let's just get into it. So here's Strategy's website, strategy.com. And then, it's a pretty basic website, but you can see at the top where they have let's click it, STRD, STRK, STRC, STRF. But I'm going to click STRC for today, if it lets me. Why is it not letting me? Good start to the video, right? Here you go. Let's hit refresh. Wow. Search. All right, whatever. It's showing STRC, but it's not letting me click it. But regardless, you can see here, here's the price of STRC, $100. The return it's showing 11%. The dividend is 10.5 at the moment, effective yield 10.5. So the idea is this fund basically, will sit around 100. I believe it's going to, sit between 99 and $101, and it will pay a yield up. I believe they launched at 9, and now they're up to 10.5. So it's pretty much going to be around that range, which is insane if you think about it, especially for something where the NAV is not moving. But as far as the website goes, that's pretty much it outside of pulling up the documentation. But lucky for you, I did pull up the base prospectus supplement, and I did go through that, as boring as that may be. So I'm going to show you what I highlighted. Hopefully, I'll try to make some sense of this, because it is a complicated, again, we'll call it, well, it says it here, variable rate, Series A, perpetual, stretch preferred stock. So it's called Stretch, ticker symbol STRC. This prospectus is dated November 4th, 2025. All right. And again, I'm just going to go over what I highlighted, and hopefully it helps. If not, then yeah, not sure what to tell you. But anyway, it shows here variable rate stretch preferred stock, the STRC stock annex, variable rate series A, perpetual, blah, 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 blah. Having an aggregate offering price of $4.2 billion from time to time through one or more of the agents. And there's a lot of them up here. This one, that one, and the other one. But who cares about that, right? Let's move on. Our STR stock is listed on the NASDAQ Global Select Market under trading symbol STRC on November 3rd. Okay, great, fine. It says it has a further issuance of shares, STRC stock, in addition of the 28,011,111 shares of STR stock outstanding. So again, I don't know, who knows if they'll ever run out. If they do, I'm sure they'll offer more. The STRC stock has an initial liquidation preference of $100 per share. The liquidation preference is subject to adjustment in the manner described in the STRC stock annex. However, the liquidation preference will not be adjusted to an amount that is less than 100 per share. All right. Here that says they talk about, they call them regular dividends. Then it says, if any. Okay, that's interesting. If any. So, okay, what is that, right? They kind of mentioned it several times, to be honest, that, they may not pay a dividend. But again, let's just keep going before we get too far into that. Then it says here, it will be payable when, as, and if declared by our board of directors. Okay. The regular dividend rate was initially set to 9%, and that was as of July 29th, 2025. Let me just check. Let me check the audio. I think the audio is working. We have the right in our sole and absolute discretion to adjust the regular dividend rate applicable. So they can adjust the rate from 9, which they did, obviously. Now it's at 10.5. So it has gone up. I'm sure just like it went up, it can go back down. As of the date of this STR stock annex, the regular dividend rate per annum is 10.5%. So yeah, this is kind of current. We are not permitted to reduce the monthly regular dividend rate per annum that applies to any regular dividend period by more than, and it shows here, 25 basis points. So basically, they can't do any type of surprise reduction greater than 25 basis points. At least that's how I read it. And then it talks about monthly SOFR, which, by the way, that means secured overnight financing rate. So it can't go over the excess of that. But again, that's confusing as hell, to be honest. But we just want to know, what's the lowest it's going to pay, what's the highest it can pay. We just want to keep that in mind. But if they can't substantially drop it, that's always a good thing. Hopefully you guys can see this font, by the way. I wonder how can I get rid of this part here on the left? Choose sidebar display. There you go. Well, now my stupid picture's in the way. All right, let me do that. Is that better? Well, you know what? I could zoom in because I don't think I'm gonna be reading the bottom necessarily. All right, so our current intention, which is subject to change in our sole and absolute discretion, is to adjust the regular dividend rate in such a manner as we believe it will maintain STR stock's trading price at or close to its stated amount of $100 per share. If the trading price of STRC stock exceeds $100, our current intention would be to reduce the regular dividend rate with the goal of causing the trading price of STRC to decrease. I assume meaning people would sell if they decrease it. If the trading price of STRC stock is less than $100, our current intention would be to increase the regular dividend rate with the goal of causing the trading price of STRC stock to appreciate. We will take any such action at our sole discretion based on our subjective assessment of market conditions and measures we believe are necessary to achieve our intended objectives. Okay, that's a lot to handle there. I hate highlighting too much, but again, I thought that was all necessary to read. Our current intention, which is subject to change in our sole and absolute discretion, is to issue any such shares of STR stock at the price per share not less than 99 and or more than 101. So kind of mentioned that before. It's not going to be often that you'll see the stock below 99 or greater than 101. What I'm doing, I just recently bought it. I bought it at 100. I'm going to try to keep my cost basis under 100. Not like it's going to be, I'm not tricking anyone here, but I just think it'll look better, right? All right, we have the right at our election to redeem all or any whole number of shares subject to a certain limitation of the issued outstanding STR stock at any time, and from time to time on any redemption rate at a cash redemption per share of STR stock to be redeemed equal to 101. So they're being generous. They're giving us the extra dollar if they elect to redeem all of the shares. Why would they want to do that? I'm not sure, but this is just saying that they can. We also have the right at our election to redeem all and not less than all of the STR. Yeah, we read that. Okay, whatever. Let's keep going. If a fundamental change as defined in this STR stock annex occurs, then except as described in this STR stock annex, holders of STR stock will have the right, which we refer to as a fundamental change repurchase right, to require us to repurchase some or all of their shares of STR stock at a cash repurchase price equal to the stated amount of STR stock to be repurchased, plus accumulated and unpaid regular dividends, if any, to and including the fundamental change repurchase date. Okay, great. Let's just keep going. Again, there's a lot here. I'm going to try to do this as fast as I can. Now we get into, so that's kind of like one document. Now this is the prospectus supplement for the STRC stock annex. So let's try to get through this without crying. Issuer, obviously strategy, securities offering price 4.2 billion, blah, blah, blah. Here it is. Use of proceeds. We intend to use the net proceeds from this offering for general corporate purposes, including the acquisition of Bitcoin, that's most of what we hear. This is to acquire more Bitcoin, and for working capital, and may also use the net proceeds for the payment of cash dividends declared or expected to be declared from time to time. So they may use the net proceeds from what people are buying here to pay the dividend. So again, just and then, well, cash dividend expected to be okay, whatever. All right, Bitcoin is highly volatile asset. Yes, we know that. Stated amount, $1 per share. Yeah, $100. We know that. Liquidation preference is subject to an adjustment. The liquidation preference will not be adjusted to an amount less than $100, so that's good. The regular dividend payment dates, it falls on the last calendar day of each calendar month, so they do pay monthly, which is good. The regular record dates, 15th calendar day of the month in which such regular dividend payment date occurs. Okay, great. Let's keep moving. This just shows that the distribution, or we'll call it dividend rate, the yield was set up at 9% in July, and now it's at 10.5%. To make such election, we must provide notice of the adjusted monthly regular dividend rate per annum to preferred stockholders before the first business day of the regular dividend period in which such adjusted monthly regular dividend rate per annum applies. If we elect to adjust the monthly regular dividend rate per annum in the manner described above, then the adjusted monthly regular dividend rate will be a rate that we will choose in our sole and absolute discretion. We're not permitted to reduce the monthly regular dividend, and that just shows again by 25 basis points. Then it gets into that SOFR thing that we talked about before. We are not entitled to elect to reduce the monthly regular dividend rate or annum as described unless all right, so whatever. Let's see, is this a lot of this is repetitive, but I don't know why I highlighted the repetitiveness. Probably because I was getting lost in the freaking document. Declared regular dividends on the STR stock are payable solely in cash. Okay, that's good. That's all we want. We want cash money, baby. We expect to fund any dividends paid in cash on the STRC stock primarily through additional capital raising activities, including but not limited to at the market offerings of our Class A common stock and other dividend junior stock. Here's the set. We may not have sufficient funds to pay dividends in cash on the STR stock this says see risk factors. All right. Which means, okay, they may not have enough, blah, blah, blah. In addition, regulatory and contractual restrictions may prevent us from declaring or paying dividends. All right. So obviously, yes, that's part of the risk. The risk is they may not be able to pay you a dividend. I don't think it's happened yet, but again, it's not guaranteed. So that's part of the risk, of course. The STRC stock is not convertible into or exchangeable for any securities or property that is not entitled to any preemptive or similar rights. Optional redemption. We have so this just says they have the right to redeem it. Yeah, we know that. No less than 101 per share. We went through that. Cleanup redemption. In addition to the redemption right described above, we have the right at our election to redeem all blah, 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 blah. Okay. Standing. Yeah. All right. We kind of went through that too. This says redemption upon tax event. In addition to the redemption rights described above, we have the right at our election to redeem all and not less than all of the STR stock at any time for a cash if a tax event as defined in STRC stock annex occurs. Okay. STRC stock has no voting rights. that's, that's said, they said that a bunch of times here. This is about the listing, which we just covered. It looks like it was launched on, it was listed on the NASDAQ on November 3rd, 25. Is it that new? No, I thought it's been around a little longer than that. Risk factors, investing in the STR stock involves risk. All right, so there's a million risk factors. Obviously, you'll have to read this yourself to understand, to fully understand the risks. But it's every investment has risks. It's up to you to decide whether or not you can handle that risk. Book entry form. Okay, we don't care about that. An investment in the STRC stock, I can't even say STRC stock, involves a high degree of risk. All right. So they want to make sure that's the first sentence you see, high degree of risk. All right. Right under the risk factors section. All right. Risks related to the ST. I keep saying ST. Let me take a sip of coffee, wake up a little bit. We'll try this again. Although the STRC stock is senior to our Class A common stock, Class B common stock, STRK stock, and STRD stock, it is junior to our STRF stock. So I guess they, when it comes to prioritization, when they can't afford to pay things, pay out dividends on some of these, STRC is number 2 behind the STRF, but at least they're number 2, right? Number 2. If we liquidate, dissolve, or wind up, whether voluntary or involuntary, then our assets will be available to distribute to our equity holders, including holders of STRC stock, only if all of our then outstanding indebtedness is first paid in full. Because obviously that means they'll have to pay out other debts first, to the we'll say secured. The secured debt, right? In addition, our subsidiaries have no obligation to pay any amounts. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Our right to unilaterally reduce the regular dividend rate could cause STRC stock to accumulate dividends at rates that are below those of otherwise comparable instruments, could cause the trading price value. Okay, we talked about that before. Again, it's about exciting as you would imagine reading this document. In deciding to invest in STRC stock, you should be prepared to bear the risk that we will exercise our right to reduce the regular dividend rate. Again, they're just mentioning that like a million different times. We may not have sufficient funds to pay dividends in cash on the STRC stock, or we may choose not to pay dividends on the STRC stock. In addition, regulatory and contractual restrictions may prevent us from declaring or paying dividends. So again, it's possible you'll buy this and they'll stop paying dividends. And that would suck, because that's the point of buying this. Our ability to declare and pay cash dividends on the STRC stock will depend on many factors, including the following: our financial condition, including the amount of cash we have on hand, the amount of cash, if any, generated by our operations and financing activities. And then there's a whole bunch of others. I'm not going to read them all, but again, they are here if needed. All right, this says, I don't even remember what I highlighted anymore, to be honest. Under the Delaware General Corporation Law, we may declare dividends on the STRC stock only out of our surplus. All right, which generally means our total assets less liabilities, each measured at their fair market values less statutory capital. Or if there's no surplus, out of our net profits for the current or the immediately preceding fiscal year. We may not have sufficient surplus or net profits to declare and pay dividends on. Again, they said it again. So just kind of a reminder, STRC stock. This one section it says has no voting rights, but then this says has only limited voting rights. But I don't know. For me, I don't give a crap about voting rights, so that doesn't matter. I mean, you guys may, but some of the other funds have more voting rights, so you have other funds for that anyway. Without the consent of any holder of our STRC stock, we may issue preferred stock in the future that ranks equally with our senior. Okay, great, wonderful. Moving along, we're getting there, guys. We're getting there. All right. Any deemed distribution will generally be taxable to the same extent as a cash distribution. Now, this is confusing because I was trying to listen to other YouTubers talk about it, and one of them mentioned it's going to be paid as return of capital. I did not read that anywhere here. So the way I'm reading this, it's just going to be taxable as normal, as a cash distribution. And that shows me that should be taxed at regular income. I don't know. Again, I could be wrong, but I did not catch anything that says return of capital. But maybe it's in here somewhere. I can only read so much. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Your investment in STRC stock may be harmed if we redeem the STRC stock. Oh no. We elect to redeem the STRC. Be less than the price. Okay, whatever. Don't redeem it. How about that? We intend to use the net proceeds from this offering for general corporate purposes, including the acquisition of more Bitcoin. Again, I think that's the whole point of these, to buy more freaking Bitcoin, which is good, right? Because then MSTR will own more Bitcoin, and then that'll help Bitcoin's price. So if you invest in Bitcoin and MSTR, your investment in STRC essentially helps your other two investments. At least that's how I look at it. All right, let's see the listing. All right, we kind of already mentioned that, but it is called a stock. It is a stock, even though this is like a bond in a way. I don't know. You guys can call it whatever the hell you want, I guess. But yeah, I'm getting dizzy already, so I'm sure you guys are. I thought this would be easier, but I don't know if I highlighted anything else, to be honest. Let's keep going. Voting rights. There's so much stuff here, and there's other documents too, but this is the document I chose to review. But obviously, the dividend is not guaranteed. All right, it's high risk, but it is, to me, it seems like a stable option to use. Because again, normally when you look at like say a money market fund, you're going to get like 4%, maybe 3.75, and that's stable NAV, right? So this I'm expecting to get 10% stable NAV. But of course, yes, there's more risks in this than a freaking money market. But again, for that extra 6%, I'll take it. At least I will. I don't know how you guys feel. All right, so you see we're getting to the end. I don't think I have anything else highlighted. Obviously, you see that there is a lot of pages here. It talks about non-US holders. Man, I gotta skim through this a little faster. Let's do this. Fast-paced stock regulations. What's that? Yeah. All right. So that's pretty much it. What's this? Yeah, that's it. So again, hopefully that helped. Again, this was a big, gigantic document that you can get directly from their website. If you want the highlighted version, I could put it in my Discord, and then you guys can have access to it if it helps. But again, I don't know. It's not too exciting, but if you should kind of understand whatever you're investing in. But if you ever want to just get the yield, you just go to their website. Oh, what? It finally shows that it's freaking highlighted. But yeah, you show how they pronounce it. Stretch Strategies perpetual preferred stock that currently pays a 10.5% annual dividend, payable monthly in cash. STR's dividend rate is adjusted monthly to encourage trading around $100 per share. All right. So again, that's the ideal behind it. And then they got all this fine print down below. But again, we don't have to read that because we just read the base prospectus document. And then there's other documents here that feel free. Go to the website, go check it out. I know nothing about these others. Again, some of them have voting rights, which to me, I don't give a crap about. You may. I just want stable NAV and high yield. And to me, this was the best option for that. So again, let me know your thoughts on this fund. And of course, I had to do something with numbers. So don't worry. I did a spreadsheet for you guys. So check this out. I immediately thought about Robinhood when I heard 10% stable NAV. Again, they may not pay a dividend. Yes, we know. But let's assume they pay a dividend. I just ran some numbers. So let's say, actually 24, we're already in 24. We got to do 26, right? So let's say in January 26, you start this investment, right? Actually, let's say you have $1 million. If you had $1 million and you put it in Robinhood, right? Robinhood, if you invest in STRC, it's 50% margin maintenance. So automatically, you'll have 500,000 in margin maintenance. Well, not margin, in available margin. The first 1,000 is always free on Robinhood, and then the second, the rest of it is, it's well, the interest rate actually goes down. So if you had $1 million, I think this goes down to like 4 something. But I'm just going to keep the 5.25%. You know, for our broke asses to understand, because that's the rate we're getting, right? So basically, if you have $100, you can make a dividend of $12,500 per month. After the interest rate charge of $2,100, you'll make a net income of $10,316. And this is, again, for essentially almost no risk, you would think, right? Then if you keep reinvesting it month over month over month, when you get to December of 2028, you'll be pulling in a dividend of $17,000. Again, it'll be much more because the interest rate will go down. But and this is also assuming a STRC rate of 10%. Now, you know, us broke asses, if we put in like $10,000, automatically you get $125 a month. So yeah, you can keep reinvesting that too. And then eventually you'll get up to like $181 at the end of 2028. But, you know, think about it. If you have a Robinhood account or an account where you have low interest and you get, you know, essentially 10% annualized yield, flat capital, and you could borrow for 5.25%, why the hell not? Why would you not, right? So again, my plan, at least for my Robinhood account, which is mainly for buying Bitcoin and MSTR, I'm now adding STRC to the mix. So I'm going to do a $10 buy on now all 3 of these. And I'm going to start using margin to buy STRC. Because again, it'll be easy to pay back that interest and then get some on top, right? Because I'll keep essentially 4.75% of that. So I'll be making 4.75%, you know, on the money that I'm borrowing, right? So think about it. I'm getting paid to borrow money in essence. But if STRC decides to drop or stop paying, that's where you get screwed. That's where you just, you know, you want to sell off some of the funds. I haven't tried to sell, actually. I assume there's no problem with that, but let's hope that time doesn't come. But if you think about it, this is kind of genius in a way for MSTR, because it's just another way for them to raise money to buy more Bitcoin. So it is, you know, I'm going to call it genius, at least from my angle. It feels like it's genius. And for me, it's a no-brainer to, you know, start buying. In fact, in my options account, I was going to add, well, I did add to the money market. I added about 10,000 to the money market account. Now that account, the money market, I can use the money market to just as cash and sell puts against it. However, it takes 30 days, at least for Charles Schwab, to make it marginable. So I can't borrow against that position. But if I buy into a fund like STRC, which is 50% margin maintenance, I believe also on Schwab, both Schwab and Robinhood, then I can borrow against 50% of that position, and I'll be getting a dividend that's more than double what the money market would pay me. So yeah, maybe I can't use that as cash, but then again, I can use it as margin, you know, 50% of it as margin right away instead of waiting that 30-day period, which is very annoying, to be honest. So again, I have several options now, but I do own STRC in my Robinhood account and also in my Charles Schwab account. I'm going to make it a bigger position. I'm going to keep reading into it, keep watching other YouTubers talk about it. People, there's many more that can explain it better, but I wanted to make my own video and give my own, I guess, opinion on it. But I'm sure, for most who are advanced on the subject, I probably did not give it justice. But if I did, let me know. Let me know what you thought of this video. Figured I'd give it a shot. Again, these are very confusing. In fact, that's why I didn't even want to look at them to begin with. Just intimidating to even think about and talk about. But the idea behind it is like just absolutely, it's just like a deadly weapon. 10% yield, flat nav, done. I'm in. You ain't got to say much more. Obviously, I went to the document. Yeah, there's risk everywhere. Risk walking out the door, right? I'll trip and fall. So I don't know. Take this for what it's worth. I think it's an amazing option, an amazing alternative to using like a money market, bonds, whatever, right? I just think, I don't know. I'm a fan. Let me know in the comments if you're a fan. Let me know in the comments if this helped at all or if it was a crappity do. But either way, feel free to leave some not positive, honest feedback, and let me know your thoughts. Of course, as always, this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor, and this video is for fun and entertainment. So I hope you had fun. I hope you're entertained. If not, hey, come back another time. If there's any other funds that you would like for me to review, please leave them down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content, you can help out the channel by hitting the like button or sharing with your friends. Tell your friends, tell your friends. All right. Easy enough. All right. I hope I didn't miss anything, but either way, please let me know what you think about this fund in general. Do you already own the fund? Did you look into it before you owned it, or do you not care? You're just buying it because of the dividend yield. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on it in general. I'm curious to hear feedback from everyone else because I'm a fan. I'm sucked in already, right? Anyway, I'm out of here. I just want to say thank you for watching and have a great day. Later.